All right, everybody, welcome to the show, the Ragni Show. We are live here Friday. Depending where you are, I'm here in Nashville. It's afternoon. Where Todd is, I'm pretty sure it's the morning. He's got his Todd Dammit Kerns coffee.
Actually do, yes.
We're talking Evil Knievel, and I saw there's a milestone in your career. Happy 21st anniversary to you and Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Dude, that was hysterical. Like, did somebody send that to you? Like,
Charlie from Blackberry Smoke sent that to me, and I was just dying laughing. He just like, dude, check this out. I found this on eBay, and I go, that's a real thing. The funniest thing is a friend of mine actually has bought that shirt because he's like,
oh, that's funny.
He went out and just bought the shirt, but it was like, so somebody had taken the 21st anniversary Blackberry Smoke. They designed an entire shirt with their autographs, and then the photo they used was Slash featuring Myles and the Conspirators. So it was like, that is so funny, dude. It's like we've been laughing about that for weeks now.
So it sounds like Charlie was actually doing searches on eBay for Blackberry Smoke.
Maybe, yeah. He was like, I don't know. Who knows? That's actually a good idea. Maybe I should be looking for my own stuff, see what's out there.
I was going to say, are you searching eBay for Todd Kerns material?
No, just guitars.
Yeah. And Evil Knievel stuff.
And Evil Knievel stuff generally, but well, not just Evil Knievel stuff, but guitars is always the addiction around here, as you can see.
Yeah, I saw that nice Iceman behind your head.
Yeah, that's a Paul Stanley. Yeah, there's an Eddie Van Halen over there, and an Ace Frehley right there. So yeah, it's a lot of it's a bunch of stuff. It's all stuff.
It's all stuff. Hey, and actually, it's funny because when you did that initial set with Bruce and Bob a few years ago on the Kiss cruise, I'm sure I was not the only one, but after when the videos started hitting YouTube, I was like, holy shit, this is just freaking amazing, and I need to talk to Todd. Like, I was like, I want to fucking talk to Todd about this whole thing, because it was like all of a sudden, maybe it was just me, but it was like that put you like in a different light. Like, were people like all of a sudden like, wow, like Todd Kerns? Yeah, we know from Slash mainly, but there's this whole other side to Todd now that like people might not have known about.
I think so. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was like, I'd known Bruce a long time. I'd known Bob. And then the idea of doing this was kind of like, yeah, that sounds like they knew I was a big Kiss fan, and would jump at the opportunity to be able to sing and play those songs. And, the set list alone was ridiculous because it was like all that weird Bob stuff that's kind of like Nowhere to Run and Paul Stanley solo stuff. And then you get into the non-makeup Bruce stuff. And, we did the Kiss cruise, and I remember, because when you're playing, you're so wrapped up in the moment of getting from what are the lyrics, what are the, you kind of just caught up in the moment of like, okay, here's this part, going to that part. And I remember walking off stage and like going over to the side and standing with my wife and going, oh, I think that went pretty well. And my wife goes, you're going to go say hi? You're going to go say hi to those people? And I go, what people? I turn around, there's this whole group of people, and like grown men were weeping and stuff. Like, it was like, I never thought I'd hear Tomorrow from the Paul Stanley solo album live. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know. I just realized the impact of what we had just done. It was pretty special, honestly. I mean, I feel very honored to have been able to do it with Bob before he passed. And I mean, we have photos well, too hard to dig out now, but great photos from those shows on the wall with Bob and all that. Awesome. And it was such a trip, and being able to do that. But it really, like you say, it did sort of open up the interesting thing about the Kiss community, which I think is funny, is Fitz pointed this out to me, because Fitz was in union with Bruce Kulick, his first post-Kiss band. And people will come up to Bruce, to Brent Fitz all the time and say, so what have you been doing since union? I mean, he's done a million things, including like Slash doing like, top 10 singles and multiple, record sales and whatnot. But the Kiss community is such that often whatever's happening in the Kiss community, everybody's very familiar with. But as soon as you step outside of that, it's, they're just not aware of it, So now it's kind of been interesting being on a branch of the Guns N' Roses tree, you know what I mean? Like family tree. It's sort of like, there's a Guns N' Roses family tree, and Slash is a branch, and then I'm a branch off the Slash branch, and now I'm a branch off the Bruce Kulick branch on the Kiss tree. So it's become a whole other world in that community. We just did New Year's with Bruce, and yeah, it's a whole different world. And I mean, they're all wonderful, wonderful people, and you talk about loyalty. I mean, that's a band we're 50 years right now.
Yeah.
2023 is the 50th year anniversary of Kiss, and they're still going strong. And it says a lot about, we should all be so lucky to have put that band together in our 20s and keep doing it. Me, on the other hand, have been, the band I put together in my 20s, broke up in my 20s, and now I'm in like 100 bands, but that's neither here nor there.
But well, that's a good point, because the main reason that brought us together today is your new band, Heroes and Monsters. But when you're doing stuff with Bob or Bruce now, or with Slash, or I know you got another thing with Brent that you do. Like, do you have to like sit down like at the beginning of the year or the end of the prior year and be like, all right, Slash, I'm guessing Slash would be the main one. All right, Slash, are we doing anything this year? What's the calendar look like? And then mark that off first, and then like, all right, I have this opening. What can I put in here? What could I put in there? Is that how it kind of works?
Kind of. I think it's a lot less structured than that in terms of, I mean, once the Slash thing goes on hiatus, then it suddenly just everything's open. That's the one gig that I do that sort of is all encompassing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I mean, it's a priority. Obviously, we love each other and we love making music together. But it is also one of those things that when you do that, make a record with Slash or tour with Slash, it's sort of like that's the only thing you can do, because it's just it's everything. The other things you can kind of work in here and there and have and I'm one of those guys. There's 52 weeks in the year, so I like to be busy. I like to keep working. I like to keep doing stuff. So when I look at the year, and like this year is an interesting one where it's kind of like the Slash thing is going to be a little lighter. Maybe towards the end of the year, we'll probably start kind of knocking some ideas around. But it sort of creates a lot of opportunities. The biggest opportunity was lockdown, so like stuff like Heroes and Monsters would not have happened if it wasn't for just the three of us being at home, not doing anything, watching Tiger King or whatever. And then like, and then it's like, hey dude, do you want to, me and my friend are knocking some stuff around. You want to take a crack at it? It's kind of like, send it over, and then, and also, and very much being of the time that in the 21st century, you can, on the very box that I'm talking to you on, I can, put a vocal down and a bass down and send it over to the other guy, and he can send it to the other guy. And that's how these things kind of work. So it's interesting to me, like talking about Kiss or Aerosmith or one of those bands where it's like, you're 23, you put a band together, the end, it's kind of like, it's like, in a lot of ways that sounds awesome, but it didn't work that way for me. And I really don't have any complaints about it, because it's sort of, I get to do a whole bunch of different things and a lot of different areas that keep me, I have to stay sharp. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no time to really, you can't really, even in the course of the one gig, when I'm doing Slash, it's sort of the same. And we change our set list a lot as we go along, but you do get comfortable in a sort of like, you just roll with it kind of way. But as soon as that thing is off, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going over here. I got to do that. I got to do that. I'm sort of trying to kind of constantly stay sharp. It's like you can't just phone any of it in.
It's, I mean, maybe it's me too. Like, even like as I was getting ready for the interview, I'm going down the Todd Kerns rabbit hole on YouTube, and I'm finding all this different stuff. And like, it kind of like hit me. I was just like, and you're like you mentioned, like your Steven Tylers and your Kisses and all that. They get into these things where they started 70s, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you're like, they were quote unquote, like we said about Evel Knievel before we went live, rock stars.
Yeah, 100%.
But now, like when I'm watching Todd Kerns, it's like, all right, Todd's a rock star, but Todd's an amazing fucking musician too.
Oh, well, thank you.
But seriously, it's like now you have to like to be able to do that. Like you're playing bass in here, you're playing guitar over here, you're singing here, you're doing all these different things, and you would look at an Aerosmith or a Kiss or whoever, and you'd be like, all right, well, yeah, Gene's playing bass and he's singing. Okay.
That's what he does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And he's a rock star.
Yeah, but I
Todd's
think that
hopping around doing 5, 6 different things, and you never know what he's going to end up doing in that particular project.
I think that's the interesting thing about guys like Gene is Gene is actually, or just take your pick of any of those people, Steven Tyler. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
they're capable of doing a great many things. They just sort of do the one thing because that's their gig. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I think that that's sort of they never had to kind of pull the trigger on that. I mean, I've seen Gene play guitar on several occasions at different
Mhm.
like things that we've been a part of, and he's a perfectly fine rhythm guitar player. I actually don't even know. Maybe he can play leads. I don't know. I've never even asked him to see if he could, but Paul Stanley's actually I quite like the way Paul plays lead, but it's kind of one of those things where it's normal for like for a musician to have be quite skilled at their position, and that's what
Sure.
they do. The end. You know what I mean? I've always been kind of a bit of a bit funny that way as far as like like I love music so much that I dick around on the drums. I play upright bass. It's like I try to and it's not really like something that I feel like I should. It's more like I just so curious about it and so interested in it that I just kind of go, yeah, that'd be cool. And then like then I get get a slide and I want to learn how to do slide a little bit more. I've been playing slide for years, but I'm still not that great at it. But it's kind of those kind of things where you're like as opposed to like, I wonder what it's like to play slide guitar. I should hire a guy who can play slide guitar. It's kind of like, oh, I'll just try and
Right.
figure it out myself. But a lot of it is sort of a necessity thing too, of kind of like, well, when you're not in Aerosmith or Kiss, then you have to be in, whatever you do, and then whatever you do and whatever you do. So in a day and age where the music industry is like all those bands we just mentioned don't make new music anymore, which is kind of heartbreaking, really.
Yeah.
And it's so to me, it's kind of like I feel like no one's getting any younger, but I kind of feel like as long as I can, I'm going to continue to make music, for as long as possible. I think Kiss kind of arrived at the idea of like, well, does it matter if we make, new music or just go out and
Yeah.
do what we do? And I think that they kind of arrived at the idea of like our audience is sort of like, is okay with just obviously there's a percentage of their audience that would be thrilled for new music, but they
Sure.
know that the giant other side of it is more about getting out there and putting on that show, and I think
Right.
Aerosmith is a similar example of like, well, it feels like those are still some very sharp creative guys. They should be able to make
Mhm.
some new music, but they just do what they do. They go out there and crush it. But for me, it's kind of like, I'm always sort of more excited about like what I haven't done yet. You know what I mean? I think
Right.
that's kind of, and there's still a lot, still a lot of things I want to try and do. So hence Heroes and Monsters, I suppose. Yeah.
So how did this come together? I mean, you were saying it was going back to like the pandemic. I mean, so you've been sitting on this for what, 2, 3 years now, possibly?
Well, not really. We started it somewhere in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say
Okay.
started it. You kind of like, talking about it, then you knock this song around, that song. It takes time to kind of really kind of get things kind of in that motion. So although we were sort of through probably tw- you know end of mid to end of 2021 into 2022, and then it's finished, and then there's a whole process of mixing and mastering and artwork and all that kind of happens for most of 2022 into 2023. So although singles were coming out, the first single came out several months ago in
Mhm.
2022, it's sort of like the record has been sort of finished for a while, but it's that's kind of the way these things work, especially when you're dealing with a proper record label again. When you're making independent music like we do in Took with me and Fitz, it's kind of like we wrote a song, boom, it's out into the world in 5 minutes. So, but it's not necessarily the best way to do it if you're trying to like I don't know, utilize every possible way that you can make it get reach
Right.
people.
So did Frontiers approach you about putting something together, or did you guys just happen to stumble with this yourselves and then approach Frontiers?
Yeah, we approached them. I mean, I
Okay.
think maybe I'm not really sure exactly what the how this all worked, but I maybe they had entertained the idea of doing it through Frontiers, but it was definitely not one of the like Frontiers are the kings of like putting things together and
Yeah.
and getting guys to play. But this was very not that at all. It was sort of like um, we just sort of we did our thing. We came up with the music, and then they just sort of put it out. Is basically how it
Right.
worked. So, which is great. I mean, like I really appreciate them doing something a little different because they're definitely known for a certain kind of music and a certain
Hmm.
sound. And we were doing something a little different, although it's how different is it? It's guitar rock and roll. Um, but they've been amazing to us, and being able to kind of reach as many ears and eyes as we can is sort of the goal.
Right. No, you guys did two actual videos for Raw Power and Let's Ride It. Was there any others? Or is that the two videos?
There's a lyric video for Locked and Loaded as well, and we plan on trying getting another one filmed while we're in Italy when we do this run
Oh,
in
cool.
February. So yeah, so there'll be another one that at least one more that comes, maybe two, depending on how much footage we get shot.
No, that's the Italy thing. You guys are going to do like a run of dates next month over there.
Yeah,
Are you any dates in the States at all? Do you think or?
we're entertaining it. I mean, a lot of the problem that I have in this and basically every other project, be it Slash, Miles Kennedy, Bruce Kulick, everything, even Took, it's like everybody's in multiple projects and
Right.
has a lot going on, and a lot of it's very high profile stuff going on.
Hmm.
So it is one of those things where you have to find these windows of opportunity to make them all work, and those windows have to work not colluding with all the other things that I got going on. So
Right.
so largely once we kind of like get through whatever I think Evanescence and Vasco Rossi has going on and what I have going on, there's a very good chance we might be able to do something in America towards, maybe spring, summer, fall, somewhere in that area. Hopefully.
Cool.
Knock on wood.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's and people like yourself. A lot of people I've talked to over the years, mainly with the whole Frontiers world. Like, I kind of feel bad. It's like they end up doing these amazing albums. It's like, all right, well, yeah, well, you probably won't end up getting to do any live shows though. But at least you guys are getting to do some in Italy.
I mean, a lot of those projects are started without any intention of doing anything
Yeah.
live ever. I mean, I think it's just kind of like, yeah, we're just gonna make music and I think that's kind of the fun part of it too, is it's like the fact that there is somebody like Frontiers that's willing to be a
Hmm.
part of just getting new music out into the world, whether it's something that's going to be supported with live performances or not, is sort of I think is awesome. I'm because in a lot of ways it's when we talk about all our favorite bands that
Sure.
aren't making new music, it's kind of like that's the other side of it. And then there's bands that are making new music that aren't touring. So you get bands that just tour and bands that aren't touring but making new music. So but a lot of those kind of things are more like project oriented, although I've people constantly hitting me with this, is this a project or a band? And I go, well, aren't all projects bands and all bands projects in a way, So to
Nice
me,
way
it's
to flip the script, right?
I know, yeah, yeah. But in many ways, it is a project. It's something that we've been, that a bunch of guys from other things get together and come up with some stuff, and I guess that's a pretty good definition of a musical project. But I don't think it sort of makes it a negative in terms of like if we can come up with some music that's strong and great, and we'll, you know, hopefully when I'm old and gone, people will go like, "Do you remember this Heroes and Monsters record that he did? Oh, yeah, that was a cool record, or whatever." It's like it's to me, it's all gravy. I'm like, I just want to keep doing it until I can't anymore. Still got some time yet.
A lot of time. And a lot of time to play with that toy over there.
Yeah, exactly. This one right here
There he is.
with the little ramp. You rev him up, and then he just goes. Yeah, that's still in the box. I'm terrified to open it. We were just talking about.
Todd, yo, man, seriously, this has been great. I know you got more interviews to do. Heroes and Monsters, it's out January 20th, thanks to Frontiers. Where's the best place to get it?
Probably frontiers.com. I don't know exactly where it will land, and I probably should do a little bit of research on that before I talk to professionals like yourself.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that there's nothing more exciting than that day you walk into the record shop and see your record there. But we live in a day and age where I don't even know where that record shop is anymore. So it's sort of I mean, I have my record shops that I go to, but they're generally more vintage and
Yeah,
old school
right.
stuff. But if it manages to make itself into some record shops, I'll definitely be there.
There you go. Everybody get to a record shop and just ask for it. Heroes and
There you go.
Monsters. Search it out, find it, listen it, crank it. It actually, it kind of, as I was listening to it, I'm like, it's kind of reminds me of like a more raw and gritty Kiss Revenge album.
I like that. I'll take that. I'll take that
There you go.
all the way to the bank.
There you go. Todd, Happy New Year, man. Thanks again for doing this, and look forward to more music from you this year.
Thank you so much, brother. Have a great 2023.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.